everyone. I'm Lissa Wells. And I have become absolutely obsessed with this concept of protein pacing. I've been reading about it for several years now, but there's something about it this year that has just like grabbed a hold of me, and I'm so excited about it. I've been reading all these books about it, and I made a presentation and I decided to just keep sharing it with people. So thank you for being here tonight. I am recording this, so maybe you're watching it on record. And if that's the case, thank whoever invited you to watch the recording of it. And also, reach out to me with any questions, reach out to the person who shared it with you with any questions. We're here to, support you on your very best health journey. That is my commitment here. That's why I'm so obsessed with this protein. So I'm going to share my screen and we're going to kick it off. So hold on, almost there. Tell me if you can see this. Somebody give me a thumbs up. Debbie, get thumbs up. You can see it. Okay, good. All right. So now I'm going to hide all of us. Okay. So protein pacing. That's what this presentation is all about. Protein pacing. So protein pacing is the most important lifestyle choice that you can make to support your lean muscle mass. Now, I'm certainly a believer of this, and by the end of this presentation, I hope that you will see that value in that as well. You don't have to agree with me. I'm just hoping that I present a strong enough case that you are interested enough in protein that you're like, wow, this really is important. I really do believe that it is the most important lifestyle choice you can make to support your lean muscle mass. So let's kick it off. These are some of the references I was talking about. I've been diving into these books, The Prize Life, Protein Pacing for Optimal Health and Performance by Dr. Paul Arciero. And then more recently, I've been diving into Forever Strong. And this is by Gabrielle Lyon. And I want to read the subtext here. It's how to reboot your body to burn fat, fight heart disease, reverse diabetes, stay sharp, build muscle, and boost energy. And the not surprising secret, or not too secret, it's all about protein and fueling your body well with protein. So we're going to dig into here. I've also been reading some of the research studies online. There's some NIH studies out there. If you want links to studies, I can get them to you. So reach out to me and I can connect you with that. And you can screenshot this and order these books and read them yourself. They're fabulous. So let's start with what is protein. Protein is basically amino acids. So amino acids, there are 20 of them, and 9 of them are considered essential. They're considered essential because we cannot make them in our body. We have to eat them in order to be able to use them. And that's what our bodies make protein out of, is the combination of these amino acids. The non-essential ones, they're still essential, but our bodies can make them. So why the essential ones are called essential is simply because we cannot manufacture them. We absolutely have to eat them. And now when we're talking about animal proteins versus plant proteins, here's a key ingredient. Animal proteins always have all 9 essential amino acids, and plant proteins never do. So that's a really big difference. So when you're eating an animal protein, you're always going to get all of your essential amino acids to build protein in your body. You don't have to worry. However, when you're eating plant proteins, they're going to be missing some. So it's really important that you pay extra attention, that you're combining your plant proteins in such a way that you are getting all of your 9 essential amino acids. So that's extra research that you'll just have to do on your own. So why is protein so important? Protein does so many different things in our body. It builds and repairs tissues. It helps us manufacture enzymes. It's the building blocks of our hormones. It establishes our muscle growth and our muscle maintenance. Here's one so important. It helps to regulate our blood sugar levels. And protein promotes satiety. So that means that feeling of fullness at the end of a meal. So if you've ever had that experience of eating a meal and then an hour later you're hungry, likely you did not have sufficient protein in that meal because you didn't have that lasting experience of satiety. So when you have enough protein in your meal, typically you won't be hungry for another 3, 4, maybe even 5 hours because you've hit that satiety level. Let's talk about lean muscle mass. What does it even mean when we say lean muscle mass? That's something that's thrown around there a lot. It includes a lot of things besides just our muscles. So it includes our bones, our brain, our organs, and our muscles. So your body will prioritize your brain and your bones and your organs. What do I mean by that? If you're eating protein and you're not eating the optimal amount of protein, your body's going to funnel all of the nutrients that it needs first to your brain and your bones and your organs. The last place it's going to go is to your muscle mass. And actually, if you really aren't eating enough, it's going to cannibalize your muscle mass so that it can feed your brain and your bones and your organs. So this is why it's so important to pay attention to how much protein that we're eating for all of these critical functions in our bodies. The other important thing that our muscle mass does is it holds your skeletal structure in place. So if when you think about your bones, they're there, but what's holding them in their right places is all the muscle that's wrapped around them, holding them, a firm core, all of those things. If you don't eat enough protein, your muscles are going to begin to weaken. They're going to shrink. That's called sarcopenia. It happens as we age, but it also happens when we're not eating enough protein. So when your muscles are shrinking, if you trip, instead of just twisting your ankle, you're more likely to have a more serious injury because you don't have the muscle that's actually holding everything in place. So you're more likely to have something much more serious happen. And this risk accelerates as we age. And I think that we can all think about somebody that we know who has had a fall and has had maybe a serious injury from a fall. And we can all agree that it's not something that anybody wants. So when we can actually support our frame by building up our lean muscle mass, building up our muscle, the most critical thing that we can do with that is pay attention to how much protein we're eating. So you may have heard of this, that health is 80% nutrition and 20% motion or exercise. That's a common, adage out there. And it's really bears out that we have to pay attention to what we're eating. We are what we eat. So eat your protein. If you're looking to optimize your health and really improve your health for, your optimal lifestyle, your optimal longevity, pay attention to your nutrition. That is the place that you can make the biggest difference. So protein pacing has three components: the quality of the protein, the quantity of the protein, and the timing. And this is all designed for fueling your body for optimal health. So we'll start with the quality. You always want to look for the highest quality of protein. So we're going to talk about how is the protein absorbed into the body. Well, it is the most efficiently absorbed in the order listed here. So number one is undenatured whey protein. The body absorbs that most easily. But first, let's talk about what that means. Undenatured whey. Undenatured means it hasn't been denatured, or in other words, it's still in its natural state as found in nature. It hasn't been heated. It hasn't had some chemicals add to it to break it down. It isn't some byproduct of some other process. It's actually found in its natural state and then had the water removed, dehydrated. So now it's a powder, but not with high heat. So that's considered undenatured whey protein. And that is what the body recognizes most easily and absorbs most thoroughly. So the body has to do as little work as possible in actually absorbing it like a sponge, drinking it all in and putting it straight to use in the body. So that is number one, most easily absorbed, undenatured whey protein. Number two is animal protein, any kind of animal protein, beef, chicken, fish, eggs, dairy. All of those are animal proteins. And so they're number two. So they're the next most easily absorbed. And again, they contain all 9 essential amino acids. And last is the plant proteins. Now, here's the thing about plant proteins. They are harder to absorb, so you have to actually eat more of them. You have to eat 30 to 40% more in volume of plant proteins just to get to the point where your body can absorb the amount that it needs. So this can be a big challenge. It can increase the carb that you're eating, increase the calorie that you're eating. That could be fine. Or if you're in a situation where you're looking to actually minimize your calories because you're looking for weight loss, then this is something you really have to pay closer attention to. Can you get all of your proteins from plants? You absolutely can. You have to be a lot more mindful and really pay attention to all of these different factors. No matter what protein you choose, you always want to choose the highest quality, organic, undenatured, unprocessed, as often as possible. Let's talk about the US RDA. RDA is the recommended daily allowance. That was established sometime in the 40s, and that was actually made just for survival. What I mean by that is they did a little bit of research and came up with these thresholds of vitamins and proteins and all that kind of stuff that would keep people barely alive as opposed to thriving. This is not based on our optimal health. So, every package where you always read it, this is giving you 100% of your RDA of vitamin A or whatever it says on the little package. What is even 100%? So this is, again, these are not based on optimal health. The recommended daily allowances are based on survival health. So that bears the question, well, what is the RDA recommending for protein? They're only recommending 45 to 56 grams. Okay, that's enough for survival, but what do we need for optimal health to really thrive? So there's new data on uh, how much protein you need to optimize your longevity. And the newest data says to eat 1 gram of protein per pound for optimal body weight. Some of the data says 0.7 to 1 gram. Some of it says 1 gram. I'm just going to use 1 gram in this example. So let me go on to what that means. So for optimal body weight. So let's pretend your optimal body weight is 150 pounds in this example. Now that optimal body weight could be the weight you're at, which is a great healthy weight for you. It's, you're very healthy and you just want to maintain that weight. That's one version of an optimal weight. Another version of it is you're looking to gain weight, whether you're looking to build lean muscle, and your target for what you want to weigh is 150 pounds. Conversely, maybe you're looking to lose some excess weight that you have more than you feel healthy about. And so that is your goal. Your optimal body weight is 150 pounds. So any of those qualify as your optimal body weight. So let's just talk about, in this example, 150 pounds. You would strive to have 150 grams of protein every day. And there is also research that now recommends that for each adult, you eat a minimum of 100 grams of protein regardless of your weight. So for example, if you weigh 95 pounds, it's a healthy weight for you. You're great. Nothing, you're not trying to gain weight. It's a perfectly healthy weight for you. Your minimum would be 100 grams of protein, not 95 grams of protein. There are also many stages of life that require even more protein than baseline. So some of those include aging. I keep mentioning that one. Pregnancy, lactation, extensive exercise. If you're really, if you're a bodybuilder or you're doing other, really intensive, extensive exercise. Another one that doesn't get talked about a lot is healing. So if you're recovering from an illness or a surgery, the body requires a lot more protein to rebuild the body, to mend the body. And so it's really something to pay attention to be mindful of, to increase your protein during those healing times. So let's talk about the timing of the protein, how you're delivering this protein to your body. So the recommendation is that you give yourself protein doses, meals, snacks, we call them, right? 4 to 6 times per day. And that they would have a minimum of 20 to 40 grams per serving. So depending on what your goal is and how many of those meals you're having, you're going to make those adjustments. There are two most important meals of the day, the first meal and the last meal. So the research bears out that the first meal of the day should have a minimum of 30 grams of protein and that you eat it within 1 hour of waking. So this does a couple of things. It wakes up your metabolism, but even more important than that, it tells your body that you're fueling it now with food instead of it needing to draw on its stores, right? So once you're awake and you're active, it's going to look to your muscles to start fueling itself if you don't give it some protein pretty quickly. So that's why the recommendation is to give it 30 grams of protein upon waking. And then it also starts to wake up and rev your metabolism, starts to fire up the thermogenesis in your metabolism. Then the second most important meal of the day is one we probably haven't talked about much before. It's your very last meal, which is a 30-gram serving of protein by itself, just protein, within 2 hours of sleeping. Could be 20 minutes of sleeping or 2 hours before you go to bed. So we're going to talk more about what that's about, but that is really your muscle building meal. While you're sleeping, when you give yourself this 30-gram dose of protein before going to bed, your body actually builds muscle while you sleep. It also helps your body eliminate visceral fat, which is that scary fat around our organs. So again, there's research to bear all of this out. So we like to think of this as a protein forward way of eating. And one of the things I mean by that is, like, if you can imagine your plate and you've got a bunch of different things on your plate, maybe it's some veggies, some protein, some carb, different things on your plate. Look at your protein and eat your protein first at your meal. And the reason to do that, there's a couple of reasons to do that. One is that you want to make sure that you fill up on your protein, that you get all of your protein in that you have chosen for that meal. And number two is that protein is going to help trigger that satiety, right? So you're going to start to feel full, but you want to feel full by the time you finish the end of your meal. If you start with your protein, by the time you finish your meal, you're going to have that feeling of, oh, I'm full. I'm ready to stop eating by the time you get to the end of your meal. Another reason is because I mentioned this before about your blood sugar. It will help your blood sugar maintain stability when you have your protein first rather than having your carb first. So the protein first, again, it's slow to digest. So it can keep that blood sugar levels more even keeled. And here's something I recommend for you is to start tracking your protein. Track it every day and notice how much you're eating, and do that for a week and make adjustments. If you're realizing that you think you're not eating enough protein for you, make those adjustments, see where you can increase them, and begin to notice how you feel, and keep a little journal about that and see how your energy might be shifting. So putting this into practice, I'm not sure if I already mentioned this, but I have been with Isagenix now for almost 10 years. Isagenix has been using protein pacing for over 20 years. That's part of the systems that they have designed. It's inherent in the system, and the systems are natural, they're proven, they're simple, they're all organic. All the products are organic or better. And we have peer-reviewed studies in a myriad of science journals, including obesity, nutrients, and more. Again, if you're interested in this research, geeking out on it, I can send you the links. So here is a little bit of the research. Here's a window into the research. This is one of the studies. So there was a 12-week study where it had two different groups. One group followed the isogenic system using the protein pacing, utilizing the isogenics nutrients. The other one followed the heart healthy diet. So we've probably heard of the heart healthy diet. It is also called the Mediterranean diet. You've probably heard of that. And it is considered the gold standard when we talk about what doctors recommend for people who are looking to lose weight. This was a weight loss study. So the men and the women all lost weight equally. And in the isogenics portion, they had a 20% reduction in fat mass. But check this out. They had a 9% increase in lean body weight percentage. And that is huge. One of the things that everybody's always concerned about when you do any kind of a weight loss system is that you're going to lose your muscle mass. Well, not only did they not lose their muscle mass, they actually increased it by 9%. And this was more than twice the increase of what the heart healthy system participants experienced. There were also improvements. You can read the rest of them here. Cardiovascular markers improved. There were so many great improvements, but we're really talking about the lean body weight percentage, lean muscle mass here. So they extended this same study. They extended it for a full year. And the key findings after 52 weeks, comparing the weight maintenance from the isogenic system to the heart healthy diet. This is what they found. The isogenics group maintained their weight loss and continued to lose body fat and abdominal fat. And the isogenics group continued to increase lean body mass percentage. That is phenomenal that they kept adding more muscle mass. The isogenics group maintained improved cardiovascular health markers. Now, here's the big contrast. The heart healthy group returned to baseline, the original state, or trended toward baseline for all markers, everything across the board, in spite of the fact that they were eating a lower average calorie intake. So that is just huge that the maintenance phase saw a decrease in muscle mass in the heart healthy group, but an increase in the isogenics group. So that just bears out that there's so much science behind protein pacing and really giving the body this fuel that it requires for optimal health. I mean, it's measured here, it's studied. These are peer-reviewed studies. So what would this look like in a day in a life for you? Here's just one example. Going back to the 150-gram example, this is split up with 3 meals. Again, you could split it up in 4 meals. This is just one example. So you wake up in the morning, and within an hour, you're going to have an Isoline Pro Shake that has 36 grams of protein. About 3 to 4 hours later, you'll have a snack with some Greek yogurt, some blueberries, a hard-boiled egg. That'll give you another 23 grams of protein. Lunch, you can have another shake to keep it easy. Have a green salad with some dressing and an apple. Dinner, some salmon, some quinoa, some broccoli. And then you're going to have your bedtime muscle builder, which is going to be a scoop of the AMPS tri-release protein that I mentioned. This all totals 151 grams. So this would be, again, for that example of that 150-pound optimal weight. And the calories here, it's about, 1,540 calories, which if you're looking for weight loss, this would be in line with a weight loss regimen. If you're not looking for weight loss, things could be adjusted. This is just a simple example. We do have an amazing pack in isogenics, and I want to give a little bit of background about before I jump into this. I have certainly seen across my feed, and I've talked to a lot of friends who have been using some of those newer drugs. One of the name is Ozempic. They go by a lot of different names. Hang on, I need a drink. But they are for people who are really looking to have some supported weight loss long term. And they work because they take away people's appetite. But what else is happening? So people are losing weight when they're on these medications, but what they're also losing is a tremendous amount of their muscle. So 30 to 40% of the weight that they're losing is muscle weight. And we never want to be losing our muscle weight. We want to be building our muscle weight. So that is also why a lot of people are, when they go off of those medications, they're hitting a big rebound, a big yo-yo, because they've dropped so much lean muscle. So their metabolism has been, sabotaged by that. And they've really have to do now so much more work to build back that lean muscle. So if you know somebody who's considering one of those medications, is currently on one of those medications, tried one of those medications, decided it wasn't for them, this is a great thing that we have with these products here. I just listed them in the last slide, that they can support somebody who's using those medications, and this can help them maintain their muscle and even build their muscle while they're following that regimen. So that's it. Again, these are my references. I'm going to stop my share and open it up for any questions that you may be having. And I know we have to hop off in 2 minutes, but does anybody have any last minute questions or comments for me? Just go ahead and unmute yourself.
Thank you, Lisa, on doing this.
Welcome.
Very well done. Great information. Yes, I'm psyched.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Well, I'll share the recording and let's just get this word out there so that people can be building themselves into optimal health. That's really my aim here. Just share the
Yes.
good news of protein.
Yes.
All right.
It was great job.
Good night
Thank
all.
you.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.